So, if you've been on social media in the past few hours or today at all, you know about this Gina Carano story. And basically, she was fired from Disney and Lucasfilm for having a different opinion than Disney, basically. And you can make the argument that she was fired for being a conservative. I mean, it's pretty clear, and I'm going to show you, talk about some other Disney people, one of them being her co-stars, or her co-star, made some weird comments, and also two other Disney employees that still work for Disney, and their opinion is not offensive. But basically, she made some social media posts criticizing people based on their cultural and religious identities, which they called abhorrent and unacceptable. And so you know the story if you've been following this, but basically this is a post she posted to Instagram. She said this, and this is someone else's post. She posted this on her story. Jews were beaten in the streets not by Nazi soldiers but by their neighbors, even by children. Because history is edited, most people today don't realize that to get to the point where Nazi soldiers could easily round up thousands of Jews, the government first made their own neighbors hate them simply for being Jews. How is that any different from hating someone for their political views? Now, it's no secret. Now, before I get into this, I will say, kind of like comparing that to the Holocaust, I don't really agree with. But you have to. I think everybody can agree that conservatives are kind of treated like second-class citizens. On social media, and in the mainstream media, in the music industry. If you want a job in Hollywood, you can't have a different opinion. You have to vote for Joe Biden. You have to think a certain way. And even if you disagree with that, you can't speak out because you might get fired. So, but this is not her first controversial tweet or social media post. They were basically looking for reasons to fire her. Because in August of 2020, she was criticized for not supporting BLM on Twitter. She called her critics cowards and bullies, while also liking posts that denigrated the movement. She also was accused of transphobia when she placed the words beep bop boop on her online profile, mocking the people who do the pronoun for genders. She later deleted the terms, saying that the Mandalorian actor Pedro Pascal helped her understand the meaning behind the pronouns. So I think this is the tweet. This right here. Speaking of Pedro, he is still employed by Disney, and I think he's one of the characters on The Mandalorian. But he sent out this tweet back in 2018, and he said, "This is America." And on the top of it, it has Germany, 1944, and it shows the Holocaust. And then it's down at the bottom, it has the kids in cages down at the border, and it says America 2018, basically comparing what is at the border to the Holocaust. Now, he's not getting any backlash, or I don't think so. I couldn't find anything on that. But what's happening at the border is far from what happened in the concentration camps. Far. Gina also shared misinformation online about the mask mandates and fairly suggested that the evidence of voter fraud existed. Some critics used the hashtag Fire Gina Carano. So basically, people on the left, people on Twitter, were using this hashtag Fire Gina Carano. They were trying to get her fired. And so Disney, instead of listening, and I don't know, I think she was really popular with the fans. I'm not really sure. Like I said, it's an unbiased view because I've never watched the show, like a minute of the show. But instead of listening to their audience, they listen to the people on Twitter because it's better to fire somebody than to be attacked by the leftist mob over on Twitter. She also opened an account on Parler while retaining her other social media accounts. What a crime. What a terrible thing that she did. I mean, that is absolutely horrible that she opened a Parler account. She should be locked in prison. What else? Oh, this is the same. Okay. So, also, this Disney producer back in 2018, and I remember this too. I remember this like it was yesterday because I was like, this guy didn't even get any kind of termination or any kind of this wasn't even it wasn't even a problem. This Jack Morrissey put on Twitter fantasizing about kids who wear MAGA hats. And I think this was around the time the Nick Sandman thing happened. So it was a little bit more than 2 years ago. Whenever that happened, with the Indian guy. Anyway, he put on Twitter fantasizing about kids who wear MAGA hats. And people who are conservative, he was fantasizing about putting them in a wood chipper. It's a very graphic image. But basically, they had a petition. A petition was started for his termination. It got less than 1,000 signatures, and he got to keep his job. He was locked out of his Twitter and made all of his tweets private following Twitter's reaction to his violent tweet. He did speak to this website about his mistake, but the point is, his Twitter is still up. He still has a job. Also, I remember this a couple years ago. James Gunn was fired, and I think he was rehired. And I vaguely remember this, but basically, just James Gunn was basically joking about child pedophilia, raping children, just terrible stuff. He got rehired, and I don't know the exact details. You can look into that if you want to. But I vaguely remember that going on a couple years ago. But they rehired this guy. I think they should, there's nothing controversial about this post. And one of the posts, the other post, was basically, I don't have it pulled up here, but one of the other posts that was controversial was calling for a fair election. Basically saying we should have voter IDs, and we should film all the counting, and we should have a better system. People, I think every American, left or right, should want a fair election. Because the problem is, in the next 4 years, the people on the left are going to lose trust in the system because they're going to think that, Joe Biden, they're going to dislike Joe Biden more and more as the day gets closer to 2024. And so they are going to get fed up with the system, and and they're going to look back at this election and kind of see, oh, this wasn't right. Something weird happened there. And then they're not going to vote. So people on the right, people on the left are not going to vote in the next election. So, anyway. But I saw this article from Daily Wire. And so all of this has resulted in people boycotting Disney, like the Netflix thing. And I was on that train for a little bit. I got off of it. I now still have Netflix. Or I got back on Netflix because I don't have cable, and it's like $12 a month or whatever. And it's a good deal. I'm not supporting what they did. I think it's terrible. But instead of this article from the Daily Wire, instead of boycotting Disney, conservatives should demand their right to exist. So it goes into, you can read this article, but basically it goes into, instead of building our own platform or canceling that, we should demand that conservatives should be able to have the right to exist in society and also on social media. Because what's going to happen is you can have so many parlors, you can have so many Gabs or whatever, and then it's going to drive a wedge in those platforms where it's going to be, the left is going to be on Twitter and the right is going to be on Gab, and nothing's really done about it, like anything, and people don't really learn. I follow people on the left on Twitter. I still use Twitter. I think it's a great platform. I don't really agree with how they treat people that they don't agree with, because they basically ignore violent tweets like this guy, and they take down the president for bullshit reasons. So yeah. But it's a huge problem, and I think if we don't fix it now, I mean, like this article says, it happens all the time. It becomes like a routine thing that happens. It's like a pattern. It's like a never-ending cycle. Someone gets canceled, someone gets deleted, nothing really happens about it. And so I'm glad that people are speaking up about this, because I don't know if she's a conservative. I'm not really familiar with her, like I said, but it sounds to me like she very well could be. But the more important thing is I just hate cancel culture. I just hate it. And so, no matter who it is, if it's like I mean, look, the guy with the wood chipper, he should have been fired. If it's like a legit thing, a legit reason, they should get punished. But anyway, that's the video, guys. I appreciate everybody out there for watching, and have a great day.